Dustin Baker, VikesNow, the Tuesday edition, April 12th. I hope you guys enjoyed Ben Lieber yesterday. Wasn't he terrific? The guy just knows his stuff. I'm very glad he was the first player guest to join. So smooth, polished. He's built for this stuff. So I'd like to thank him again for joining. We're going to get back on track with the solo Dustin stuff. Tomorrow we have Lindsey Young, who writes for the Vikings as an employee of the Vikings. And we're going to pick her brain on this draft stuff. Per what I've kind of done with the rest of the guests. I hope that you enjoy it. So the topic today right here is why Camryn Bynum is likely the guy at the other safety opposite Harrison Smith in 2022. Unsurprisingly, I have several reasons, and I'm gonna chat those up for you. So last year, Camryn Bynum, in 21% of defensive snaps for the Vikings, was marvelous. When called upon, was it the Ravens game or Chargers game? Harrison Smith was out. He came in. Shockingly, especially to me, probably to you, it's like the defense didn't miss a beat. Now, the defense wasn't glorious or legendary, and that's part of why we have a new regime and all that stuff this year. But when his number was called, he delivered. And that's all you can ask for, especially from a rookie player that says, oh, hey, by the way, you're going to play today for Harrison Smith, who has a quasi-Hall of Fame resume. So in his rookie season, he fired up a 78.3 grade from Pro Football Focus. Yes, I understand it was a small sample size. He played 1/5 of the time. I don't care because he can't control that. Zimmer and the pals were like, here's when you're going to play. And so he went and did it, and he excelled when called upon. That's all you can ask for. In fact, the 21% of snaps that Bynum played didn't qualify for PFF's, who's the best safety rankings. If it did, however, he would have been the 9th best safety in football with that 78.3 grade. So the proof is in the pudding on the rookie tape. I don't know what else you need. That's probably why there's so little movement on the safety front in free agency and whatnot, is because they perceive Bynum as the catapulted starter. Some of the tea leaves you got to read in free agency, Adolfo-Mensah, we've talked about ad nauseum, how he's difficult to predict because there's no track record. But there's been no free agency moves at safety. Just none. They got Harrison Smith, Camryn Bynum, Miles Dorn, Josh Metellus. And now, of course, they didn't have an extensive piggy bank to spend money on free agency. However, if they didn't trust Bynum, they would have said, all right, let's go look at Landon Collins. Let's go look at Jaquiski Tart. Let's void a bunch of contracts, final years of contracts to go get Honey Badger, something like that. But as evidenced by their lack of movement in free agency at safety, those tea leaves point to the fact that they're probably cool with Bynum for this 2022 season, his sophomore campaign. It's there. If you read what's going on, it appears that he's going to be the dude. And then yesterday, at the first day of voluntary veteran player workouts, whatever the official title is, in Egan, in front of a microphone, Harrison Smith, his compadre, Camryn Bynum, said that he was a smart player, his presence was fantastic, and just a great dude. He's smart and all this, and if Hitman's saying that about his teammate, plays right next to him, probably a good omen that this endorsement means something, or Hitman knows something that the rest of us are starting to figure out, that Bynum probably going to be that other safety opposite him in 2022 in Ed Donatell's new 3-4 defense. And the other part of this is we know the Vikings are cash-strapped. They got all this money invested in Cousins, Hunter, Thielen, Kendricks, Cook, all the core group that Zimmer could not actionize to the NFC Championship once again. But all of that money is allotted for veteran players. So they need cheap solutions. You look around, who do we have as a cheap solution? This guy, Camryn Bynum. He's affordable. He's on a rookie deal for 3 more years. Doesn't get paid a whole lot in the grand scheme of things. And if he can ball out, as Harrison Smith used, those were his words yesterday, if Bynum can ball out on an affordable contract, well, then you've got that secure for the next 3 seasons, and it just marries both things beautifully. The Vikings cash-strapped way of doing things, and hopefully you have a performer who emulates his rookie campaign, which was quite impressive. So the content, like if there's naysayers that say, I don't want that son of a bitch starting on my team, I don't trust him, it was a lightning in a bottle that he was any good. And I know there's folks that might feel that way. You don't want to leave it to chance. You'd rather have a Landon Collins. I get it. I'd be excited about that too. So there are the naysayers parts. There's also the Kyle Hamilton factor. Arguably the best player in the draft, top 2 player, top 3, whatever your draft boards has him. There are conspiracy theories where Hamilton could conceivably fall all the way to 12. Now, they'd be kind of weird, but if he got there, they couldn't pass on him. A Notre Dame safety who fell into their lap with a fabulous scouting report. Sounds a lot like Harrison Smith, doesn't it? And I don't think that they would allow Hamilton, for God's sake, to fall any further than 12. But that is an example. If that doomsday for Hamilton scenario occurs, that, yes, indeed, he would supplant Bynum, and then this YouTube show, this episode in particular, sucks. Like, what was the guy talking about? But I honestly don't think Hamilton will fall there. But if he did, then that's your new starting safety, and Bynum goes back to FS2 or whatever his depth chart title would be. So I want to get that out there that Dustin is saying that, of course, he endorses Hamilton if he's there at 12. I don't really endorse trading up to get him. I don't think they would do that. But I think for certain the Vikings would pounce, just like a lot of teams should pounce if the Notre Dame dude was available. Couple other things on this Bynum stuff so you can really sink your fingers into it is like, this is how it goes. The guy was drafted in, what was he, fourth or fifth round last year. Bynum, that is. Showed up for work, played his ass off. Now he's going to start. This is how it goes in sports, the Vikings, in football. The guy deserves it. And it just so happens he's affordable. Just so happens that his counterpart, Harrison Smith, is on board, we think, with him starting. But this is the natural progression, the law of nature in the NFL. A guy did well his rookie campaign, made you not even realize that Harrison Smith was off the field during that Ravens or Chargers game, whichever one it was. But yeah, I just want you to know that this isn't some big, like, holy crap, Camryn Bynum's going to start. This is how it works. He did pretty damn good in his first start, and then thereafter, he was pretty good as well. And now it looks like he's going to be a starting safety for the Minnesota Vikings. So kudos to him, and this is fruition. He earned it, and you should enjoy that because that's why we watch this stuff is dudes putting resumes together, doing redemptive stuff that that's why men and women watch sports in general. Closing down here on this topic. If it wasn't Bynum, if I'm wrong, if Harrison Smith's wrong, something would have happened by now. They would have explored free agency. That's probably the only solution. Or they would have touted Miles Dorn as the next big thing. Would have been weird. But if indeed Bynum was not slated to start on this depth chart this summer, this autumn, something would have happened by now. Something's got to give. So I believe that the lack of activity at safety is a rubber stamp for Bynum to be the starter in September. And then the other part of this is if you say, well, they're not going to get Hamilton, but they're sure as shit not going to start Bynum. They're just going to draft a guy that's going to eventually start. Now, they probably will draft a safety for depth purposes because I don't know if Metellus and Dorn are impressing behind closed doors. So they need safety depth. Even if they sign Jaquiski Tartt, that doesn't mean Jaquiski Tartt has to start. That means he could back up behind Bynum or Smith. So they're going to probably use the draft to get a safety. But what sense would it make to draft a safety? Third round, they don't have a fourth rounder. Damn it, Spielman, Herndon. Or in the fifth round, what sense would it make to plug that dude in ahead of Bynum after Bynum showed you what he was made of in his rookie campaign? So that's just another hint. I know there's an argument that says, well, they're going to draft a safety. Well, if they don't draft Kyle Hamilton, they're not going to draft a safety at 12. You can rule that shit out. It ain't happening. And if they just wait for a mid-tier safety, well, is that solution any more sensible than Bynum in the 2022 season? Probably not. So we got an outstanding rookie year, 78.3 PFF grade, which ain't nothing. It's actually pretty damn good. It was better than Darisaw. So We all commend Darisaw for his stability at that spot. You should do the same for Bynum at safety. They haven't made any free agent moves. Zilch, nada. There was plenty of safeties they could have signed if they didn't like Bynum. He got a grandiose endorsement from Harrison Smith. Pretty good voice box to hear from when you want an endorsement at safety. He's cheap. Rookie deals. You love him. You especially want to eventually see a quarterback on one so the Vikings can get with the times. The Kyle Hamilton thing is a pipe dream right now. Of course, if he was drafted, he would start immediately. For the love of everything, this is how it goes. The guy got his shot. He nailed it. Now he's going to start. You should applaud. And we would have seen something by now. If Bynum wasn't the guy, the Vikings would have signed somebody else. So that is my case in support of Bynum being the starter. Of course, it would stink if he shows up in the first couple of weeks and has a sophomore regression, because we know those are real. He didn't really have the vibe of the kind of guy that would do that, but that's the thing you'll want to avoid. Lindsey Young will join me tomorrow, and I'm going to ask her about the draft, ask her kind of about if there's a new energy or vibe there in the building after Kwesi and Mr. O'Connell took over. And we'll go through the litany of topics with her. We'll talk for about 20 minutes. And then Friday, alas, Nick Olson. The last episode I called him Nick Young. You probably got your memes out or whatever. Nick Olson will join me later this week, and we will chat about the Vikings. All I got today, and Skol, baby.